Alright guys, welcome to the 3-3 lesson. The first part of this assignment is just to go ahead and practice your 3-2 assignment, which you should have already submitted, but what I'd like you to do is to go ahead and check your work for me. Make sure that you did graph these inequalities correctly. So please check your 3-2 practice. Make sure that you did graph these inequalities correctly, and you do not need to resubmit your graded assignment to Canvas. So I'm just going to kind of cross that out. Okay, so we're going to move into 3-3, which is solving inequalities using multiplication or division. The key concept of this lesson is multiplication property of inequality, which basically says when you multiply each side of an inequality by a positive number, do not reverse the direction of the inequality sign. So if we take a look here at number 5, we have 6 is greater than 4. 6 over 2 is going to be greater than 3 over 2. And 3 is going to be greater than 2. Okay, moving on here to number 6. If we take a look at this one, we see that 2 is going to be less than or equal to 3. And it asks us to kind of simplify this. So 2 times 5 gives me 10. 3 times 5, I'm going to fill in, is 15. And we're just going to bring down that sign. So we're going to say 10 is less than or equal to 15. As we move into number 7, we've got negative 12 is less than negative 9. So what you can see is that they're just dividing each of those numbers by 3. Negative 12 over 3, which we know is negative 4, and then negative 9 over 3, which you see they wrote as negative 3. We're just going to bring down that same sign, less than negative 3. Alright guys, in problem 1, we're multiplying by a positive number. It asks, what are the solutions of x over 3 is less than negative 2? We're going to solve this just like a regular equation. So the opposite of x divided by 3 is times 3. So I'm going to times 3 on each side. And so we'll end up getting x is less than negative 6. Now this problem did also ask me to graph the solutions. And so now at negative 6, which I'm going to add in there, I'm going to go ahead and add a open circle, and we're going to graph this to the left. Okay, so we have another similar inequality. What are the solutions of c over 8 is greater than 1 over 4? So again, my mindset is I'm going to solve this like a regular equation. The opposite of c divided by 8 is times 8. And so I'm going to multiply by 8 on each side. Okay, 8 over 8 goes away on the left. So I get c is greater than 1 times 8. I'm doing the numerators, is 8 over 4. So it's going to be c is greater than 2. 8 over 4 is 2. I do also need to graph these solutions. So now on my number line where I see the number 2, I'm going to do an open circle, and I'm going to move to the right, since that's the direction of the arrow of my inequality sign. Okay, we do need to reverse each inequality symbol, so we're going to practice this a little bit. This is going to apply to when we have to multiply by a negative. So the opposite of a less than or equal to is greater than or equal to. The opposite of a greater than is a less than. The opposite of a less than is a greater than. And the opposite of a greater than equal to is a less than equal to. So we're just flipping these symbols. Pretty easy concept. I know you guys got that. As we take a look at the bottom part of this, for number 9, it's saying 6 is greater than 4. So when you divide each side by a negative, we do need to flip that sign and say that negative 3 is less than negative 2. And if you think about this, this does make sense. So we do need to flip the sign when we multiply or divide by a negative number. Okay, if we take a look here at number 10, we've got 2 is less than or equal to 3, but take a look what they're doing. They're multiplying by a negative on each side. As soon as I see that they're multiplying by a negative, I kind of just call this the inequality mood swing. We have to flip that sign. And if you think of my final answer, this is true. Negative 10 is greater than or equal to negative 15, so that we know that we're good. Moving on to number 11, negative 12 is less than negative 9. What they're doing here is they're dividing both sides by a negative 3. When we divide by a negative, we flip that sign. So we see that 4 is greater than 3, which is true. Moving on to problem 2, multiplying by a negative number. It says, what are the solutions of negative 3/4 W is greater than or equal to 3? So when we have a coefficient that's a fraction, to get rid of that, we multiply by the... So I'm trying to do that. All right, guys, so this was a little try problem. We had to solve negative n over 3 is less than or equal to less than negative 1. So one of the things that you can see that I did right here was that I thought, well, negative n over 3 is the same as if I said negative 1 n over 3. And so that's a fraction. And so to get rid of that fraction as a coefficient, what we need to do is we need to multiply by the reciprocal to get rid of that. So I multiplied by negative 3 over 1 on each side, and that got me n is greater than 3. You can see the graph. I did an open circle moving to the right. All right, so right here we've got a little bit of a word problem. We've got $4.50 is the cost to walk a dog, and that cost has to be greater than or equal to $75, because right here it's saying how many dogs do you need to walk to earn at least $75. So 450 times D is like saying 450D. To get rid of that or to solve this, it's just like an equation. So we're going to divide each side by 450, and we end up getting that D has to be greater than or equal to 17. So we have to walk at least 17 dogs to earn that money. There's a little bit of a try problem down here. It said a student club plans to buy food for a soup kitchen. A case of vegetables costs $10.68. The club can spend at most $50 for this project. So we'd have to do 1068 times V, let's say that's a case of vegetables, has to be less than or equal to $50. So I would need to divide each side by $10.68, and we'd get V is less than or equal to 4 point, and it's going to be a big kind of decimal here. And so what I would say is, what are the possible number of cases? It'd have to be less than 4. That would be the possible number of cases. All right, so here we see that solving inequalities using division is similar to solving inequalities using multiplication. If you divide each side of an inequality by a negative number, you need to reverse the direction of the inequality symbol. And so it's giving me the example right here that's saying 6 is greater than 3. So 6 divided by negative 3 is less than 3 divided by negative 3. You can see that when they divide by that negative number, this is where I always say that this is my inequality mood swing right here. Sorry guys, my stylus has gone bad. I'm in New York. I'm trying to get this lesson for you. So it's not the greatest, but we just have to make do. Okay, over here on this side, you can see that it's saying 9 is less than 12. So 9 divided by negative 3 is 9 greater than negative 3. If you notice, they did flip that sign. That's my inequality mood swing. These properties are also true for inequalities using greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. Over here, problem 4, we're dividing by a negative number. What are the solutions of negative 9y is less than or equal to to 63? So to solve this, I'm going to divide each side by -9. And right here, I'm dividing by a negative number. So that's my clue that I do need to flip this. And so it's going to be -7. Y is greater than or equal to -7. So at -7, I'm going to do a closed circle. Sorry, it's trying to get this here with the stylus. And we are going to go to the right. Down here at the bottom, we see that -5x is greater than -10. Divide each side by -5. I'm dividing by a negative, so I flip that sign. At +2, I'm going to do a closed circle, and we are going to move this guy to the left. X is less than -2. Okay, guys, that brings us to the end of lesson 3.3 for our homework. You guys have IXLs K5, K6, K7. These are all going to be to 80% mastery, and they will be due by Monday.